You know that meme, it's been 84 years? That's what comes to mind when I see any report regarding AirPods Max 2, because it seems like we've been waiting forever for these to launch, and yet nearly 4 years later, they're still not here. And unfortunately, the few crumbs of information we've been getting sounds pretty disappointing. So let's delve into that, as well as the rumoured release date and price. So recently, Mark Gurman gave us a pretty weird report claiming AirPods Max 2 will not really be a second gen pair, because all they will be doing is swapping out Lightning for USB-C and calling it a day. This means these $550 pair of headphones would still technically be worse than the AirPods Pro, which are half the price, since it would still have the H1 chipset. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, that does not make a massive difference, right? They're basically the same. But oh no, let me stop you right there, because they're not the same. H1 lacks support for big features like adaptive audio, conversational awareness, and support for the wake word. That is quite a chunk of features that I love using with AirPods Pro that these $550 pair of headphones seemingly won't support. How does that make any sense? You know what does make sense though? Subscribing to this channel, of course. I would greatly appreciate it, and it would bring you the latest commentary about the world of Apple right to your subscription box, so please consider it. It would be appreciated. We're trying to hit our next milestone of 16,000 subscribers, so join the saranbyte gang now. Anyways, I was hoping Gurman would be alone in reporting this, and he would be proven wrong by another credible source that comes to save the day, but unfortunately that's not the case. We have a new report from Weibo source Instant Digital that basically repeats what Gurman initially told us. Apparently it's going to miss out on adaptive audio features because of the lack of H2, and I'm still confused, not gonna lie. Surely it would be cheaper and simpler for Apple's supply chain to use H2 across the entire AirPods range, and considering we have heard about a new version of the regular AirPods on the way, they should just update the range to H2 at once, and it would benefit us because no longer do we just have to buy the Pros to get great features like adaptive audio. You can now get them on the more expensive Maxes as well, because you shouldn't be paying more and getting less features. Also, on average, Apple updates every AirPods model every 3 years, and so for them to literally do nothing with the Maxes but give a USB-C nearly 4 years later is ludicrous. And plus, I'm sure Apple likely wants to give these USB-C because the European Union's forcing them, and so if they're going to bother changing the design ever so slightly to accommodate the new ports in the first place, they might as well give us some other upgrades. I know AirPods Pro last year did not get an update apart from the new port, but that's because they were already refreshed in a big way in 2022, of course, unlike AirPods Max, which was last updated in 2020. That was a long time ago, which is crazy to think about considering it feels like COVID just happened. But anyways, I would be very disappointed if these rumors are right, but unfortunately they often are, guys. Now quickly touching on the release date and price, which are probably the two things people want to desperately know about these. Unfortunately, it's very hard to predict what Apple's going to do with these. Now quickly touching on the release date and price, which are the two things everyone wants to know about. Unfortunately, it's very hard to predict what exactly Apple's going to do, because you see, unlike the iPhone and the iPad where it's pretty easy to predict what Apple's next steps are going to be with a refresh, Apple could do literally anything they like with the Maxes. Remember, the first gen randomly launched before Christmas as a little treat from Santa Timothy, and so it's hard to predict what exactly they're going to do this time, but I'll guess anyways because it's not like I have a credibility score to maintain. I think releasing these at the September event with the iPhone 16 makes the most sense. Why? Well, Apple as of late has been launching AirPods refreshes at the September event. We saw AirPods 3 in 2021 alongside iPhone 13, AirPods Pro 2 in 2022 alongside iPhone 14, and USB-C AirPods Pro 2 last year with iPhone 15. And so I can see them keeping up this tradition, and it makes sense because, much like the Apple Watch, AirPods have been the ultimate accessory for the iPhone. I'm sure there would be many consumers rushing to buy both the iPhone 16 and the new Maxes for launch day delivery, so a September release makes the most sense, and we have heard about the new regular AirPods launching around this time frame as well, so I guess we could see these launch together. Pricing wise, knowing Apple, they could quite easily keep these at $550, which I still think is a bit overpriced, but if the rumors are true, I'm kinda hoping they can salvage this refresh by lowering the price by $100. Though even then I guess it wouldn't explain why Apple's cheaper earbuds are superior. Please just give us H2 Timothy, that would make much more sense. And actually there's a lot on my wish list for AirPods Max 2, so let's delve into that. The first upgrade I would like to see is better endurance. This is why I'm praying for H2 in the first place, because that upgrade alone should improve the endurance by at least 1 to 2 hours. And I think it's an area AirPods Max could definitely be better, because yes, if you go on Apple's site, you will notice the Maxes easily destroy other AirPods, which does seem impressive, but then you realize that's just because they're bigger, so of course they're better. If you compare them to other headphones on the market like the Sony XM5s, these do fall a little short. Specifically, it's offering 10 hours less of endurance, and so it's time Apple matches the competition in this aspect. The next thing I'm sure many absolutely want to see is a better case. Everybody basically agreed on the fact the original pair had a shockingly horrific smart case that wasn't really smart because it offered no protection to the actual headphones. Thankfully, there have been patents of a more traditional case in the works, so I'm praying Timothy comes to his senses and we see that with these new Maxes. I also do wonder if Apple's going to give us water and sweat resistance. Now why I'm unsure about this is because AirPods Max aren't really made for workouts, which is the sole reason headphones usually get IP ratings. These bad boys are so hefty you could do some curls with them. They're not really ideal as gym headphones, but why I bring this up is because there is a condensation issue with the current pair, so maybe to protect the internal components, they have no choice but to give these an IP rating, because no one wants their very expensive pair of headphones to randomly stop working because of a bloody design flaw. And actually, I have seen many complain about the reliability of the Maxes in general, so clearly there needs to be a lot of modifications that need to be made to make these last longer. Finally, let's talk about colors. I was actually surprised Gurman said nothing about colors in his new report, because he mentioned there would be new colors in his previous reports, but now he says nothing. That's a little sus. I personally think new colors will definitely be a thing, because let's be honest, how else are you going to flex that you have the new Maxes? Also, the current pair have colors based on the iPad Air 4 from 2020, so it's time we get new shades, maybe something based on the upcoming iPad Air 6 colors. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching. So we are only a few days away from the Apple event, and Mr. Timothy Cook himself is leaking some tidbits on what to expect, and so let's delve into it. Essentially, the other day